welcome to another episode of Conversations with Coach La. I'm hoping that everyone can hear me, hear myself. There we go. How y'all doing tonight? I'm excited. Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there. And you guys are tuned into the Urban Heat, 98.1 FM. We're live on iHeartRadio. Tonight I have a special guest with me, Miss Shayy Winn. Shayy has a love for music, and I am excited to talk to her. She was born in Chesterfield in 2000, and she is going to be talking to us about her journey into music, her resilience, and she has a really unique story. And tonight's conversation is all about believing beyond what you can see. So I'm excited to talk to Shayy about her background, and as you may or may not know, before she was a American Idol, she was performing and impressing audiences with her eloquent voice. She was really uncomfortable at first with all the attention, but soon she got comfortable in that. She performed in different settings in Virginia, community events, at school games, and she became an emerging local talent that allowed her to appear in several local magazines and newspapers. This was right before she found out in 2017 that she had an unknown brain tumor that caused her to lose her vision. So we are bringing Miss Shayy on. We're going to learn more about her and her music and all that she has done in her life since being on American Idol. Let me bring Miss Shayy. Let's welcome her to Conversations with Coach La. Shayy, can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Hello, and I can hear you. What is going on, beautiful?
Nothing much, nothing much.
Oh,
Just
no,
celebrated mom's birthday.
I was about to say, you got a lot going on. You guys are out of town celebrating your mom's birthday. I am so excited, and thank you so much for joining Conversations with Coach La tonight to talk about your unique story. I actually found out about you from Facebook, and somebody showed a video of you on American Idol, and you were talking about your story. And I'm like, how did I not know about this? Because that was in 2017. And I inboxed you because I thought my listeners could really benefit from learning more about your story. And of course, I love your music too. So I wanted to find out more about you, Miss Shayy, and tell me first and foremost, who is Shayy? Who is Shayy? What do you want the listeners to know about you beyond what they may have Googled about you?
Okay. So I am a lovely woman. Just saying that. But I am a singer, songwriter, basically performer. I do it all. And I have been singing since I was a little girl, introduced to it since it is Father's Day by my dad, I could say. He was the person that put me onto music, like Anita Baker and Phyllis Hyman and stuff like that. And I was always listening to that. Like Anita Baker is the reason that I actually sing, to be honest.
Really? What's your favorite
Yeah.
Anita Baker song?
I would have to say I love Same Old Love.
Mhm,
That's the one I used to have on repeat on my cassette player. I
mhm.
had like a Sony cassette player, and I used to play that song on repeat. Even 2 years later, I never knew the name of the song until years later. As I got older, I thought it was called 365 Days of the Year.
I think I
Um,
did too. I think I did. I might have given it that name too. Mhm.
but yeah, I've been singing since I was a little girl. I dance. I've done poetry. I've done pretty much all of that. But it's always been in me and in my heart to do music. And I'm a big family person. I have a huge family,
Mhm.
and we all like to be together all the time.
It's good to have a strong support system. So when I always ask everybody when they come on the show, what does therapy mean to them? And I know that, part of transitioning, we talked about this offline and coming to terms with your loss of sight. You said that you felt like it was a blessing. So I'm curious, have you had to go to therapy, or what does therapy mean to you? How have you been able to manage?
So therapy to me means healing. So aligning yourself and getting your inner peace straight,
Mhm.
not letting things enter into your space that you don't want and don't need, things that are negative to enter your space basically. And I would say I didn't have to go to therapy to deal with my situation because I kind of had an outlet automatically, I guess you could say, in the way that I chose to think about the process that was happening when it was occurring, about me losing my sight and all of that. um I was the lead role in my school's play,
Mhm.
and the play was Aida, and that was who my character was. My character was Aida. So in it, it's about a Nubian princess that basically has to be strong not only for her people because her people are enslaved, but she has to be a strong woman for herself in the whole process. And I was like, well, if I got chosen for this role, that must mean she saw that character in me.
Mhm.
So I gotta be strong through this. And I was like, this is my first time having a lead role too. I'm not gonna let anything stop me from getting on that stage and doing it.
Mhm.
And
So
that's kind of like what my motivation was.
so when you think about that, that that's intrinsic motivator was your arts and being in the play. So I think you told me this, but the listeners may not know this. So when you got diagnosed and was going through this, you were also simultaneously um, headlining a play. So you want to give a little bit of background, like this happened all at the same time.
Oh yeah. So um at my school you auditioned for musicals and things like that basically the year prior,
Mhm.
and you would get it for the following, well, we would do it in the spring of the prior school year, and then you would do the actual play in the fall of next school year.
Mhm.
um and that was if you wanted a lead. Backgrounds, they would do that in the fall, but if you wanted a lead you had to audition months in advance. So because we have several meetings and different things that go on, and that's for other things as well, like show choir, which is something I did as well. But you in your auditioning process, you audition. I auditioned kind of, I guess you could say, I wouldn't say forced by my best friend, but she's one of those people that knew I was shy and I'm not really gonna try to go for a lead role. But she ended up being my ride, so I didn't really have a choice at
Right.
that
Okay.
point. Um, so not thinking I was gonna get it, I didn't really want to audition, and I auditioned, and then we both got it. Well, I got the lead and she got my best friend in the show, and we were excited because it's best friends playing best friends.
That's
um
yes. So look like
every
the universe. It was meant to be.
right. So after that happens, we had our whole summer trip, went on vacation with my family, all of that, with show choir camp, everything was normal. It's the beginning of my junior year at this point, and I'm starting to notice some things. Like, I was coming in a junior year, I'm like, okay, I'm a junior now, and I was starting to get my look straight and all the other thing, all the other stuff, girl stuff,
Right. Right.
teenage girl things.
You was you were coming into your own.
Yeah, and I started to notice that, okay, well, I can't really see the board as much.
Mhm.
Something ain't right because I've never had this problem before.
Mhm.
Um, and we're talking like 2 weeks in, so I haven't even been at school that long. Then I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna tell my mom, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna need glasses. I never had glasses before. I always wore the fake glasses because I thought I would look cute with glasses.
Mhm.
But as in real glasses, never wore them before. So I was like, okay, this gonna be weird. And also I started to notice my own handwriting. So I used to write in cursive with an ink pen. That's how I took notes.
Mhm.
Dangerous, I know, but that's just me. I like my notes nice and neat and things like that. And I was doing that, and I noticed I couldn't read it anymore. Or homework was now taking me 3 hours to try and read one paragraph in a chapter when I need to read the entire chapter by the end of the night. So
Mhm.
yeah, I was like, this is something's not right. Told my mom, let her know. She's like, okay, I'll set you up an eye appointment. Because at this point, we don't know anything. We're just thinking,
Right.
I need glasses. So we set up an eye appointment, and the day that we set the eye appointment for, I get this like massive headache, and with the massive headache, I just am out of it completely. I can't focus on anything.
Oh my God.
I'm just out of it. And my friends are like, "Are you okay? This is unlike you." I was like, "I know." And I'm in rehearsals for the play as well. So I'm having a hard time reading my script when we're going through the script and trying to get the characters and how we want to portray them and what are we going to do and get the chemistry built between me and the romantic interest in the play. I'm like, okay, I can't really read this. So we're just gonna try the best we can. Um, the day I get the headache, I go home. We go to the eye appointment, get my eyes checked, full exam, all of that. And she goes, I need to make a phone call. She comes back in 5 minutes later and is like, you need to go to the ER right now. And I'm like right now, right now? She's like, right now. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess.
Oh wow.
Um, what's going on? She was like, your both of your optic nerves are swollen, which for those who don't know, the optic nerves are the nerves behind your eyes. They connect your they're like a big nerve made up of a bunch of tiny little nerves. They connect your brain to your eyeballs. So they're what your brain sends signals to tell you what you're looking at. And she was like, both of yours are swollen. That means it's a brain issue. And I was like, brain issue? Okay, whatever that means.
Mm.
Um, and so we went to the ER. We rolled up to the ER, sit in the waiting room for a very long time as they're trying to run tests and different things. And also because I'm asymptomatic at this point, it's taking a little longer than it should. But in there, they finally give me an MRI and they find I have a brain tumor. And we're all like, whoa, where did that come from?
Right.
And
What?
they're like, we need to have, huh?
No, I said what a blow.
I know, right?
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean? They're like, we need to have emergency brain surgery. And I was like, whoa, slow your roll.
I know
Slow
that's
your
right. Wait,
roll.
wait, wait. I just thought I couldn't see some stuff. What
I
about?
said, whoa, we're jumping. We're jumping here. Because I've never had surgery before. And y'all talking about peeling my whole cap back. I said, first, excuse me, sir. I said, excuse me, sir. I just grew my hair back. Are you telling me you got to cut it off? um,
The things that we're thinking about, wait a minute, you gonna shave my head? That way, if not, I need a brain surgery, but you about to cut my hair off.
you know, because I had just grown it back. I had our big chop, so I was just growing it back. It was really, yeah. I was like, "Are you gonna cut it all off?" He was like, "We're gonna try not to." So then they asked me, the symptoms that I had, and I told him, and he was like, "That's it." And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "You didn't have the other symptoms, which is like seizing and vomiting and all that stuff." I was like,
No,
No, I just had one headache."
right.
And he said, "That's it." And then the rest was just the vision loss. I said, "Yeah." He said, "Interesting. That's usually the last step." And I
Wow.
was like, "Oh, so I just jumped the gun. It's fine. It's completely fine." He was like, "So maybe we could hold off a little bit and see if there's like a better, like a way to get to it that might be less invasive and different things." And I was like, I like the sound of that better.
Mhm.
So they did that, had my brain surgery. Things went well. They were able to get half of her out. She has a name. Her name is
I was
Amara.
about to say, so you gave the tumor a name.
Yes, she has a
So
name because I need a reason to have a party just because. Because why not?
yes. So we call that in my world narrative therapy. So, Shay has the ability that she just did therapy on herself without the help of a therapist. Go ahead. You renamed her, reframed it, all of that.
Yeah, so half of Girly is still up there. And she's being quiet. She ain't getting rowdy, which is good. As
Yeah.
long as she stay that way, I'm good. But yeah, she was having her name is Amara, and she's up there, and we just have to get her monitored every now and again to make sure she don't change her mind and decide to be disruptive. But she's not allowed to change her mind. So
I just love the way. Now, to all the listeners out there, shout out to everyone that's tuned in through iHeartRadio, YouTube, Facebook, right? This is an example of really writing your own narrative and taking control of your life, which brings me to the bet on self moment, right? Which me and you talked about off online, but for any of the people that are new to conversations with Coach Law, Bet on Self was something inspired by my dad. So again, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And in honor of him, I'm doing my show today because this is something that he believed in and thought I should do a long time ago. And I kind of was like, Dad, I don't have time to get back into radio. Anyway, as I digress, a bet on self moment was something that he would always encourage me to do, especially in those moments where I felt like the odds were against me
Mm-hmm.
or I felt like I wasn't going to win, or I didn't even want to play anymore. He would always tell me, baby, you need to bet on yourself. As long as you put your all in it, it'll always turn out that either you're going to win or you're going to learn. So those are those moments where, despite the cards that you've been dealt, despite the situations or circumstances you find yourself in, you say, you know what? If not me, then who? And if not now, then when? So as we continue, I kind of know one of your bet on self moments because you said it already, gave the people a hint. From your perspective, what have your bet on self moments been after finding out about this tumor? And what's her name again? Amara?
Yes, Amara. It means strong.
Amara. Amara's up in there, having a party and trying to be disruptive. She in
So
check right now. You got her in check. She's in check.
yeah, yeah, she know how to behave. She know what it is. um, so she knows that if she act up, she gotta get evicted. That's it. Like, it's just over.
Time to go.
But basically I think my very first, well, not, I can't say very first, I kind of like used that point in my life right there when I found out about the tumor. It's kind of like my turning point. So usually sometimes when I say very first, I'm referring to that moment because I feel like a lot of things changed, especially in me as a person. But I would say was the play. I'm not gonna lie, because I was literally in my hospital room, staples in my head, learning the lines. Cause I said, I don't care if I missed 2 months of rehearsal so far, I'm going to be on that stage doing this show.
Mm.
And when the teacher came to visit me, the first question I asked her is, I still got my role, right? Like, I didn't even say hi. I didn't say
Mhm.
nothing. I said, I still have my role, right? She said, yeah. I said, okay, cool. We good. Hi, how you doing?
Now how did you manage to learn the lines? What did you do?
So we came up with like a system because at that point in time, after my surgery, I was told my vision was supposed to come back. But it didn't. Instead, mine decided to go the other way, and she just
Mm.
declined. But it was okay. I was like, it's all right. It's all right. We'll figure it out. So my mom, poor mom, had to sit in there and read read my lines and the other characters' lines. And bless her heart, she's not an actress, but
Go ahead,
it
mom.
helped. She sat in there and she learned their lines and my lines, and then she would read them all, tell me which lines were mine, and then we go back and keep reading over until we made it through all. What was it?
God bless her.
13 songs and 22 scenes.
Wow. So wait, you also had to learn songs.
Yes, it was a musical. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So I had to listen to the songs on the day. Well, when the girl wasn't, when the other person was not in my room, I would listen to the songs on the speaker and be not blasting them because it's still a hospital. You can't do all that, but singing along with them, listening to them. My mom would be saying the words to them as I go along, and just basically a bunch of auditory things. And it was so good. We were so good that I actually knew the other characters' lines more than they knew their lines by the time I actually got back. So
Wow.
once they finally released me from the hospital, first thing I wanted to do, can I go to rehearsal? So my mom was like, yeah, let's go. So I was able to watch, but I wasn't able to actually rehearse because I wasn't at school technically. So I wasn't even in the classes. So they had to get a note from my surgeon to say that it was okay first. And
Wow.
I said, all right, I will
Talk
go get
about
that note right
determination.
now. I'm gonna get it right now. Play with me if you want to. I went and got my note, and I was up on the stage, literally in rehearsals with like staples coming down the center part of my head and like hooking over. You could see them. I didn't care. I just wanted to be there in rehearsal. I'm pretty sure my mom has the videos, but in the videos you can't see my staples because she's sitting in the audience. But the staples are in my head still, and I'm rehearsing with the kids up there doing the whole entire show. And we had some modifications done to the show that would not allow the audience to know that I was impaired now. We
Mhm.
kind of kept it a secret. We kept it all on the low because I still wasn't in classes, so other kids didn't know what was happening. They just
Wow.
knew I wasn't there. And anybody that came to visit me in the hospital, I said, "Don't you tell nobody what's going on up in here. I don't want no pity Instagram things where people was like, oh, da 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 da." I was like, "I don't even know you. Don't don't be in my business. You in my business? Don't do that."
I
But
have a bag that says that. It's a clear bag that I use to go to places that you supposed to have the clear bag, and it says you in
uh-huh.
my business, you ain't supposed to do that. That's what's written on the bag since you're trying to see what's in my bag.
Right. So
Wow.
yeah, that's what I
So
said.
you basically your bet on self moment was right when you lost your sight and
Mm-hmm.
pursuing doing this play regardless of what had transpired.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you also decided to go and audition for American Idol.
Yeah.
And that clip is still in rotation. I think it was over what, 1,000,000 views or something. It might be more than that now. I
I
forgot
think it
the final
yeah,
number. It's pretty
it was a lot of views. I give it to you. It was
it
a
went
lot.
viral. It went viral. That's all y'all need to know is the clip went viral. I actually posted it on my Facebook page and on the Conversations with Coach Law page so you guys could see it. But it was such a moving moment that Lionel Richie was just bawling. You couldn't see it, of course, but girl, the clip says, "Pull out your tissue," right? And so sure enough, I was like, "It ain't gonna make me cry." I was bawling too. I was like, "Oh my goodness, what a story." So, how far did you get in American Idol? Because honestly, I'll be truthful, I stopped really watching it. I don't really watch TV anyways,
You're
sadly.
good. Top 40. I made it to the top 40.
And what was that experience like?
It was a good experience. I would say honestly, I had a good crew. Like my cast was bomb. Because I turned 18 while on the show. Cause November babies. But I turned 18 while on the show. So in me turning 18, I was now an adult, and all of the adults were so friendly, and I was so scared because I'm like, I was in that line where like I'm still in high school, so I'm still a baby, but they're like, no, 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 you're an adult now, and I'm like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Um, but all the adults and stuff were so sweet. Like my group members were absolutely the sweetest. I actually still talk to them to this day.
Mhm.
Um, and I had a good experience overall. Like I learned a lot of things while they're singing tips and about the industry itself, just all around. I wouldn't trade it for the world, that experience.
Mhm.
No.
So, and you're still doing your thing. So you're
Mhm.
still a recording artist. You are on Freeway Records. Are you still on Freeway Records?
So I'm actually not signed to them. I'm not signed to Freeway Records, but
Okay, so
the,
you're unsigned artist.
yes, I'm independent.
She's independent. Well, that's even better. I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to play this one of my songs that I like that you have. That's now my fave. I'm gonna see if I can get this to play. Let's see what's gonna happen. Um, it's the song called D&D. Do you want to give any information or give any background to this song before I play it?
Yeah, sure. So D&D, I actually wrote with one of my long term friends, and it was a great experience because going back into so for me, it was my first time actually trying to figure out me as an artist and not being necessarily in a box. Because still performing in school and things like that, or being when you go to school for music, you kind of learn to sit in a box.
Mm,
And I never unlearned to get out of that box. Like, well, I wasn't unlearned. I never learned that it's okay to step out of the box. So
mhm,
D&D was kind of like my first time actually stepping out of the box and getting back into the official writing game of this song. And at the time, I was feeling somebody, so that's how I wrote it about. I was feeling somebody.
I was wondering about that. I said, let me find out she low key telling us some secrets. All right, y'all. Let me see if I can play this. This right here is by Shayy Winn. It's called D&D. So that right there is D&D. One of my faves. I like that song. Put your phone on D&D so you can give me that TLC. That's one of my favorite parts. Now you also have another so you have 4 singles that you've released and you're working on your EP. Out of the 4 that you created, do you have a favorite?
Energy is my favorite.
I like that one too. I'm gonna play that one next. So what's next? So I know you got the EP going, and you got any other plays or any other opportunities for you to start doing acting again?
I don't have the acting ones again, but I've thought about getting back into acting. I will say it's kind of scary because I haven't done it in so long. But I have thought about it because that was one thing that I really, really did love. But I do have some songs coming in the mix. Like I have a dance hall track coming to take me back to my roots because my family's from the Caribbean, for those who don't know. And I would say I have a lot of other songs that are really, really good. My mom knows that like some of them. She's already given me the thumbs up on some of them.
Mhm.
So have a lot of songs in the works, got some music videos in the works, some plans to start working with some bands. I got a lot of stuff coming. Y'all just gotta keep on my socials
Yeah.
to
Yes.
see what
Um,
happens.
so I'm excited to see what you have next. Your mom said she couldn't hear the song, but I could hear it in my earphones. You guys couldn't hear the song?
No.
Oh, I heard it. I don't know why you didn't hear it. All right. I did hear it. I wonder if anybody else could not hear it, but it came through the earphones and it came through the board, so I'm not sure. But you can hear me
Yeah.
talking. That's strange. That's very strange. But yeah, I heard it in my headphones. So I was gonna try to play energy, but now I'm scared that you guys won't be able to hear the songs because I definitely heard it. Well, that would explain why I'm sitting here jamming and you ain't jamming in your own song. I'm like, why is she sitting there and she ain't jamming? Yeah, I don't know why you couldn't hear it. That's very strange. It definitely came through. So, one of the other things that I'm always curious about, you've mentioned reframing the whole situation into a positive.
Mhm.
Where do you think you got that from?
Good question. Um, hmm. I
Because
don't. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't actually know. Like, I did have some down moments. Like when I first came home, everything looked different. So that was a moment where I was like, "Mom, why did this happen to me?" Etc. 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 But overall, my look on it was just, it is what it is. Because I felt like that's what I don't know. I just felt like that's kind of what I had to do. Because everybody else was sad. I was like, "Don't y'all come around me with these crying. Don't call me crying. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it." Because I was like, I felt like I just had to be positive. I don't know how to explain that. It was so weird.
mm,
That was probably like the first. I mean, that was a big situation for me, and that was probably like one of the first bigger situations for me. And that was the first time I was like, whatever happens, happens. I'm gonna be okay regardless.
that is an amazing, intrinsic character that I don't know that everybody would naturally be able to do that, right? Like to pull that type of like, I ain't letting this bring me down.
Yeah.
So I admire that, and I think that was one of the things that really drew me to you and I wanted other people to just know you or to know of you. Um, because I don't know that a lot of people in situations that are even not even as extreme as what you've experienced or traumatic don't often know where to pull that type of strength.
Right.
Was
Yeah.
your mother shocked? Did your mo was your mother surprised by how you handled this? Because I can only imagine a mom, you wanna cry for your baby.
She was sad, and I told them to stop that. Her and my daddy. I said, "But yeah, y'all stop that. Cut it out. Cut it out." Because I was like, they were. I could say my moment when I noticed that it was hitting them for real was when I was getting rolled to surgery. So I just come from the, I guess they call it the anesthesiologist.
Yes.
I was
The
in
person
there,
that makes sure that you
and
don't feel any pain.
yeah,
The
I was
food.
in there. He was trying to. I think they were trying to monitor me, and I mean, y'all see my nails. I like nails, and I always have. And I had on blue nails, and he was like, "Of course you have on long blue nails, to where now we can't put it on your finger. We gotta put it on your toe." And I was laughing about it, and I look over to them two, and they're in the corner looking like they're ready to cry, and I'm like, "What's wrong with y'all?" I was like, "All I need is the laughing gas. That's all I was saying." I was like, "I'm gonna be straight. Everything gonna be fine. I'm gonna be good. I just want laughing gas. That's it. That's my only request. Give me laughing gas."
Mm,
He said, "We'll see." I didn't get laughing
wow. They don't make them like you, Shay.
gas.
There ain't the and, Imma use ain't, because it's just what it is. There ain't a lot of people in the world, I feel, that necessarily would have had that tenacity or that inner strength to just be like, "Listen, I turn it all over." Now, are you a spiritual person? Because I'm gonna say turn it all over to God, what's gonna be. Are you
Yes,
very spiritual?
yes. I would say, yeah, I was singing all the way down to the hospital room. I can't even lie to you.
Mhm.
I was I was singing all the way down there. I'm pretty sure grandma knew about it, and they was probably praying. I was sitting here having a good old time. I literally talked to my surgeons right before they put me on the table. I turned to my left. I see a big old TV. I said, "What's that for? Y'all finna watch TV while y'all doing the surgery?" He was like, "No, that's how we're gonna see where we're going inside your brain." And I was like, "Weirdo." And then I don't remember anything after that part.
Ah, you told them they were weirdos. I love it. What an amazing, bet on self story, and just being able to sort of pull that strength and that grace. Now, this is all great. You don't have you had any moments though where you really were like, this is a lot? Because you also had to learn your way around the world again without vision. And you told me some stuff offline. I want to get that into the show about what that was like. Uh-oh, where you go? Shay, I've lost you. There you go. You back now. Uh-oh. I can't hear you.
Able to recognize mom's face, dad's face, my sister's face. The house don't look the same. I was like, "Oh my god!" I didn't even sleep in my own room for a
Mm,
while when I came home by myself. And and especially not in the dark, by myself or in the dark. I didn't want to do it, but it was more so like that very first night was the biggest night. I was sitting in the tub. My mom was washing my staples, and I was playing this song that I did when I was like 12, 13 years old, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a song called Why Me? And it was on a cancer album for, it was like a cancer album that I had done for my mama. And well, I didn't do the whole album. I was featured on the album. It's like a collaboration album, but I did my song for my mama. But when I did the song, I was listening to it and I just thought about it and I was like, why me? Why did this happen to me? This is a lot. And of course, over time, there's been other moments, like when I went back to school, people not understanding what happened, um, being teenagers being teenagers, is
So
what I
were
can
you
say.
able to still see a little bit when you came home, or was it completely,
Yeah,
you could see a little bit, but
yeah, yeah. So I still have a little bit of vision, but not as much as as I normally had back then.
okay.
But yeah, just it all looking different. In high school, going to high school was one thing in itself. Then going into high school with a cane, all the people that you thought was your friends, they're not talking to you anymore.
Mm,
People that used to come up and just hug you, they stop hugging you. People kicking your cane, pushing your cane, tripping over your cane. Not only that, now you got to fight the teachers because your teachers are trying to give you regular homework and work that's font size, normal size, and you can't see it. You're like, how am I supposed to read this? That doesn't
right.
make sense. Make it make sense. Can you read? Could you read this?
Mm,
And you couldn't see? Make it make sense. And at the time, I didn't know Braille, so like I'm literally like some people were like, why you just didn't know Braille? I was in the middle of high school. And that doesn't typically happen to people. I'm in the middle of high school, like some of the schools trying to change some of my classes around, like it was a whole lot. Like
mm,
it was constantly like you're fighting and trying to defend the fact that you can do certain things or that you would like to try to do certain things or that people will see you in a different light as well because you have a disability, which is a lot of the reasons why I don't necessarily always before I perform, unless they see me on Idol or something like that. That's different. But like if like when we had the Aida performance, how I told you, we didn't let the audience know.
mhm.
We just had certain signals on stage because I didn't want them to see that first. I wanted them to see me as a person and for my talent before you see me for what happened to me.
Right, right. Yeah.
So that was
So with all
those are
that
kind of some of the moments.
so with all of that going on of navigating school and teachers and reality of friends, what kept you grounded?
I would say my family and my real friends.
Mhm.
That was probably like the biggest thing. Family and my real friends. So like the best friend that I was talking about that ended up being my ride, yeah, she crazy. And I love her to pieces. And she never strayed in my hospital room. My mom has a picture of her hanging off my bed. The bed's not big enough for the two of us and you're gonna squeeze in my bed. What is wrong with you? But she's a good like her, she's like that person that's like, do it. Like let's just do it. I don't care. You
Right.
don't think we can do it? Let's just do it. So she kind of like inspired me in that way. And then my mom is also the type to be like, you're gonna do it. Cause I would say for Idol, I almost backed out of my Idol audition.
Mm,
Actually, I almost backed out of my Idol audition, and my mom was like, "I filled out the paperwork. You're
you
going." And
you're
I was like, "I guess so. I guess so." But yeah, I would say those were the two things that kept me grounded. Because without them, I probably would have went a little loco by myself trying to defend all that stuff.
right. Interesting. When you think about life and how things come about, you can never predict it, right? And your current situation is never your final destination.
Right.
So you were going to back out of American Idol, but you didn't do that. You ended up actually going to Hollywood, right? And I,
Yeah.
you know, very, very remarkable and touching moment, with them all. I don't think they always come from behind the set and start hugging you people. Were you surprised that they all came out and started hugging you? And were you
I
like, okay, what is
was.
going on?
I was okay, so I was very confused. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was in there so confused. Like when I first walked in the room. Okay, so one thing, let me explain. I was the very last person to audition.
Hmm.
So I didn't audition till like 9 o'clock at night. And as you see in the clips, we be there early in the morning.
All day.
So I was the very last person that the judges were gonna see. Um, and I walked in the room, so I'm thinking they're not even there. Like I don't know why I thought that that part was gonna be staged or something. I didn't think the judges were actually gonna be in there. I walked in the room, la di da di da, stood where they told me to stand, or my mom helped me get to where I was standing, and I'm like, they're speaking to me, and I'm looking around the room like,
Where are the people coming from?
who's talking? Like, oh my gosh. And then I saw Katie because she was contrasting with the background. So she was standing out. I was like, oh, they're actually right there. Ooh, that makes it more scary. So then I was like talking to them, everything happened, the audition, da 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 da. And then once I finished, it was quiet. Like it wasn't it was quiet. And because I can't see, I didn't notice they were crying. So them in their silence, I was like, did I suck? Like, was it bad? I was like, oh God, I think I did horrible. They're not talking. But then they started talking and they told me Lionel was crying. I was like, why is he crying? Why?
Yeah,
Did
he
I
was
suck that
crying.
badly? I was like,
No.
it was that bad that he's crying? Oh my God. And then they were like, oh my. Then they started explaining and I was like,
Yeah, he
oh.
he was crying as soon as you told your story and gave your intro, and then when you started singing, your voice blew them all away. They were shocked, but you killed that song.
Thank you.
Yes, 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 yes. You killed it. You killed it. So we talked about what's next. If you had to give somebody, you know, some feedback, I had watched this episode of Oprah, or she was being interviewed, and she talked about the transition of her show. I really, I admire Oprah, and she said that she had transitioned from just talking to people, and she started to realize she had to give tangible resources and tools, which is, one of the reasons behind this show is to debunk myths about mental health and what it's like to talk to a therapist. Like, this is what talking to a therapist is like. It's just a
Mhm.
conversation. um Everybody's degree of what kind of support they need is different. What advice nuggets would you give someone that might be going through something that's a life-changing event like you experienced, that may encourage them in this moment, that may not be pulling it from the inside like you did?
One of the things I would say is everything is not what it seems. Though it may seem bad and tough and rough right at this moment, at the end of the tunnel, there's always light, is
Yeah.
one. Another one I would say is everybody ain't gonna believe in you. So you have to believe in you. And with that, nobody can tell you what you can and can't do. Because everybody else has limits, but as long as you don't put those limits on yourself, you can do whatever you want to. You talking about a junior in high school who literally had to change her whole life. I had to learn, I don't want to say a whole new language because Braille is English and other languages. It's just a different way to read it. But you got to start from like baby reading, like CAT, at. Like that's how you have to kind of start when you're
Mhm.
reading.
Right.
Um, so, stuff like that. It took me a long time, not a long time. It took me a while, like, changing my life around was tough. But sometimes tough is all right. The easy route is not always the best route.
Yeah. Wow. What well said. Well said. You know, when you think about meeting someone like you, and often this is what I have to do when I'm having one of those moments, because even therapists have those moments where you feel like, why me, or why am I going through this? You know, you'll come across a story like yours on social media, or you'll read something, or you just reflect on all of the people before you and that will come after you that might go through hard things. Like, we're going to go through hard things, and people overcome hard things all the time. And you may think your situation is just the worst, and then you'll learn about somebody else's and you'll go, wow. And for me, I think it's gratitude, right? For
Mm,
what you can't see, the cup being half full instead of half empty. What is it that you can still sort of grab onto to give
mm-hmm.
you hope? So what do
Yeah.
you think gives you hope in these moments these days?
I would say the belief that one, God only gives his toughest situations to people that he knows can handle them.
Mm,
Then not only that, I would say everything happens for a reason. There's something that you're going to get out of this, and even if that reason is not necessarily giving something to you, it might be for somebody else.
mhm,
But you got to go through it too, and that's okay. You just have to be willing to take the time and dig down deep and figure out what is the reason for this, because it might be trying to show you something, a lesson that you didn't learn in other ways that you really do need to learn to help you get to that level of inner peace to where people can't bother you no more. Or not even just people, things don't bother you quite as much anymore.
mhm.
Triggers start to dissipate, all that
Yes,
stuff.
I love all of that. I say that often, but coming from me, people just think, well, you say that because you're a therapist. But I feel like I didn't choose this. Like, it was like it chose me. I was managing banks, and I was in financial services. I
Mm-hmm.
never saw myself doing radio. I never saw myself being a therapist. That wasn't my trajectory of what I wanted to do. Um, what did you see yourself doing? If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
If I wasn't doing music,
If you wasn't doing music, say you had, do you think that you would still be pursuing it? If you had your site, would you be doing something different?
no, I would still be doing this. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I always thought, well, from the day that I saw Anita Baker on the Apollo, singing was what I wanted to do, being on the stage in front of thousands of people. But it was just singing at that point. But after high school and doing all the things that I've done, performing as a whole is something I want to do. Like Beyonce on that Renaissance tour right now. That's what I want to do. I want to be up there because one of my things is, well, obviously this part has changed. One of the things I've noticed is with the world and society, when you talk about blind people, everybody only really know two, and that's Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder.
Mhm,
There's no girls. Where the ladies at? I need a lady up there that
mhm,
can also let the little blind girls, the little black girls know I did it. You could do it too. But not only that, to be up there with them, but that's like my element. The costumes, the makeup, the whole
mhm,
shebang, the shebang bang bottle.
mhm.
Now, if I wasn't, oh Lord, what would I be doing if I wasn't performing? I don't know. I've always wanted to be a performer, blind or not. I don't. I've always wanted to be a performer. It'll
Yeah.
just look a little differently.
Well, what do you think would be different, other than you would be able to see? I mean, but is there anything that that would be different? It seems like that hasn't stopped you.
I don't think so. I don't. I don't. I don't think the only thing I would say the difference is that I have a bigger audience to show. Um, because it is a different side of life, and a lot of people won't understand. So I have more to show, more to display, more to I have something to advocate completely for. I guess you could say,
Mhm,
like to show them that they can. Because I mean, we do have a lot of Black women in power here that you get to see, but you don't see a lot with disabilities because it's a different community and it's something that gets looked differently at. So that would probably be like my biggest thing. And I think since I lost my sight, my vision has gotten bigger. I'm not gonna lie. Like, if you would hear some of the music video ideas I have, or like stage performance ideas I have, you probably think I'm absolutely insane.
Mm.
And why? What made you think of that? I don't know. I just wanted. I need it to be so I can see it. If I can see it, then it's big enough. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
Well, I mean, I think creativity, it's fun. It's all about being more creative. And I've heard a lot of people that have lost their sight talk about they're just more creative, and their vision being bigger. So that maybe there is some truth to that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a blessing, honestly, that people don't necessarily always see because I don't get distracted by what a lot of today's society gets distracted with the visuals.
mhm,
I don't see it as well, so it doesn't really bother me
right.
as much as it may bother somebody else.
So you mentioned it's a different audience or it's a different world or things are looked at differently. You want
Hmm.
to talk a little bit more about what you mean by that? Like, is that stigma or do you feel like there's a certain box you're being placed in because of your disability?
I wouldn't say necessarily me all the way, but just in a general as the community and being a part of this community, I've noticed a lot like people. Well, I can say me too. Excuse me. People look at you differently when you walk outside. So if I have my cane, like I remember when I first lost my sight, being outside with my sister used to get really, really mad. So both me and my sister are both fire signs. So we're like literally like 2 years and 2 weeks apart.
Mhm.
Um, so when we would go out in public, she would get very angry because it's like me entering a store, everybody's life would stop and they're staring at me. And I had to say to her, they're just staring because I'm so cute. Let it go. And she's like, bro, no, they not. Like, do they got a problem? They got a problem. And I'm like, bro, calm down, calm down. Let it go. Um, like things like that, or people coming like I've had instances when I was getting classes to become more independent and to dive into it more, like learning braille deeply and learning how to walk on my cane sufficiently. And like I was doing classes where I'm crossing the street by myself, and I've had people literally stop in the middle of traffic and yell at me to cross the street. Or people come up just randomly and pull you in the direction they think that you're trying to go.
Mm.
Things like that, or people making certain comments in high school, people telling me, "Oh, you don't look blind." She's not blind. She's not blind for real. She don't look blind. Um or people telling you your blindness doesn't count because you can see X, Y, and Z, or because you other things. Just a whole lot of different things that come down, and then you realize like when you go to apply for certain things or certain jobs, or you go to do certain things, people look at you or feel pity for you and they won't hire you.
Mhm. Yeah.
They'll be like, you just can't do it automatically because you can't see. Well, you didn't even give me a shot. Like, I mean, even for me in high school, they try. I would say, for instance, they tried to pull me out of trigonometry, and I'm like, why? I didn't even try it yet. I got an A in the class. The teacher was like, she don't even use the calculator for real, and I was like, yeah, I don't like you talking at me all the time. I'd rather just do it by hand. It's easier that way for me. And she's like, okay, well, you're doing better than some of the other kids in the class. Like, of course, she has, with graphing and stuff, I'm going to struggle because that's a visual aspect. But with the math part, straight. I don't need that much. Just show me or tell me what to do and I got it.
Right.
But she was like, but stuff like that. It's like people don't even try to give you a chance. Or even with being an adult and me being out here outside, I'm like trying to make friends. People look at you or feel like you're a burden to them and they won't talk to you. Or they'll look at you funny instead of just coming up and asking you what happened, if something happened, and
Mhm.
actually just talking to you like you're a person. So like sometimes when you're walking around, like just talking to other people that have had it, and also sometimes with me, walking around, you don't necessarily feel human all the time
Right.
because of the way people look at you, and you always stick out like a sore thumb, and X, Y, and Z, and you don't fit in here, and you don't fit in there, and you don't fit in today's normal society.
So, you know, one thing that stuck out, God gives his strongest people what they can handle.
Mhm.
Because, like I said, all of the things that you just even shared more about, to still have this positive attitude, to still be going after everything, it's just a testament to your resilience and your inner drive, right? And I hope that the listeners, anyone who's listening and just feeling like they want to give up or why me, that Shay's story gives you some insight, some hope, or you go look her up, check her out on her different platforms. You got on Instagram under Shayy Winn. You're on Facebook, Shayy the singer. She also has a website that you can check out too, which is Shay. Is it Shayla?
Mhm.
ShaylaWinn.com. Any closing thoughts? We got like two 2 minutes,
Oh.
3 minutes before we got to wrap up.
So my mom corrects it, says Shayy Winn. So for the website.
So,
So yeah, ShaylaShayWinn.com, right?
yes, I got it on the screen too for people to see it.
Cool
You
beans.
can't see it, but they can see it. So even if I pronounced it wrong, I spelled it right because I took it off your bio.
That's all that
Um,
matters.
that's right. So make sure you go follow her, go download her music, which is on all platforms pretty much, right?
Mhm.
Yep. So we got D&D, we got Energy,
We got
um,
addicted and we got crazy.
and Crazy. So those, and then you've also done some features.
Yes.
You want to talk a little bit about the features you've done? Um,
Sure. So one of my features is called God Gives Blessings. And it was written around the time that there was like it was about last year, maybe around Memorial Day weekend, where there was like a whole bunch of shootings in 1 week, school shootings and things going on, and it was just ridiculous.
mhm,
So we got together and we wrote this song about shooting. Like I literally wrote the chorus on the drive up there.
mhm.
I was driving to New York because I had to record it in New York, and I wrote the chorus on the way up there. And I had to put myself in a position to think about if it was one of my loved ones in a situation like that, or if I was one of the moms in a situation like that. Even though I'm not a mom, so nobody get any ideas. I'm not a mom. Um, but if I was in that situation, what would I say, or how would I feel about it? So
Yeah.
that was one of the ones, and that one I like that. I like that chorus. I killed that chorus.
And that is a feature that she did with Jay Dollar. And then you did another
Yeah,
song with a Liberian artist. Is it
I
Eldred?
did.
Yes,
Eldres.
Eldred,
Eldres.
Eldred. And in
Yeah.
Rock About Baby.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I have to go. I'm not gonna try to play. I'm not sure if everyone else heard it, but when I do the editing and upload this as the podcast version, I will make sure that I add clips of Shay's songs into that recording. So you guys want to make sure you check that out. Those are released every Thursday. I upload to all major podcast platforms the show. So we are at the end of this conversation, Miss Shayy. I have enjoyed getting to know you on this intimate level. I'm hoping that all my listeners learn something from this too. Shout out to everybody on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and iHeartRadio who've tuned into this episode of Conversations with Coach Law. Shayy, final word before we go to break.
I didn't say it now. Just say it out.
Say your final word. Yeah. Final word.
Patience.
Patience. Patience and gratitude. So thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Conversations with Coach Law. Shayy, until next time.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much.
Unorthodox radio from Boston and beyond. Heat